Good morning, everybody. My name is Dr. Patrick Flynn, the Hormone Whisperer, and I'm very excited to put on our quick tip today for some pretty cool stuff, even though it looks like I am a raging alcoholic right now. So as you sit here in front of here, first of all, thank you guys for jumping on today. It's going to be a fun show. We got lots to cover, and as you know, as our topic today is alcohol. Now, why the heck am I doing a show on alcohol? I don't even drink, okay? So that's the funny part about it is, but not being a drinker doesn't mean, for example, there aren't benefits to alcohol, there are risks to alcohol, and so what we're gonna do is we're gonna cover this in great detail today, so this might be a little bit of more of a discussion with you because, and Brandon actually may have some questions that may come on this one, because the reason why I'm covering this topic, and I should have done this topic a long time ago, as a lot of you guys know, I'm very particular about what we put into our body, okay? So now, why that's important is because all of a sudden if we do a food test, a lot of things that you become allergic to, actually, obviously want to keep away from that way. Some things that come up a lot are yeast. Some things that come up a lot, then question, is alcohol. The number one, by far, the number one question I get when it comes to what should I do when I get a food test is alcohol. Not a joke. Ask all the docs across the country. The biggest question we get is alcohol. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to go through alcohol from my standpoint once again. And it was kind of funny because, I had to grab different things from different people and had to send Brandon to the grocery store to grab stuff that way because it's not like I can go in my own cupboard and grab the stuff, but I'm going to try to give you the stuff that you should have because here's what happens. We are in, especially in Wisconsin, the summer season. By nature, we do more things outside now. People like to have a libation, okay? And once again, let me say this. I don't drink, but I'm not against alcohol. Actually, if alcohol is done right, it can be a health food. Let me say that again. If alcohol can be done right, it's a health food because of how it's made. Second of all, here's what happens. If you have a problem with alcohol or any obsessive compulsive behavior, please do not do it. People always ask me, they say, Doc, why don't you drink alcohol, considering the fact that you're going to talk about some of the good things, the benefits of it? Because as the people that know me, I'm a massive, obsessive, compulsive person, okay? People always say, Doc, why don't you eat just one Oreo? Because I would eat the whole box. Do you understand? I can't control myself that way. Now, I'm a 43-year-old man. I do have control, but I want to tell you is this. I have one freaking Oreo. The temptation is I'm not going to just stop there. I'm going to do the whole thing. So if I were to actually have, a drink, I'd probably drink the whole bottle. Okay, so I know myself. So that's why I personally avoid alcohol. It has nothing to do with alcohol. It has more of who I am. It's why, for example, I tell people, I'm only good at a couple things. Why? Because I'm obsessive, okay? I'm obsessive about my faith, I'm obsessive about my family, and I'm obsessive about the wellness way and golf, okay? That's what I do, okay? And I do them well. See, beyond that, once again, so people always say, Doc, it's kind of funny because I know you don't drink alcohol, but you're doing a show on alcohol. Because once again, but my background and my expertise is things that are good for you, is the things that you need to do. So I'm going to get rid of some of the things and guide you because here's what happens. I know some of you purists are out there and say, well, alcohol can cause, just check your medication, okay? Relax, okay? I'm going to go through things because here's what, in general, you're going to find out that actually more people have a drink than not. I'm the abnormal. I'm not the normal out there. So my job is to give you the great direction that you can do to have the healthiest venture that way. Now, once again, if I talk about vodka and you don't like vodka, don't drink vodka. Okay, I'm going to give some general ideas of all alcohol that way. I just picked some brands that I know, as people know, my best friend Ross taught me about vodka. Why? Because he loves it, okay? Our CEO, they actually like a drink that way. So actually, so it's kind of funny. I'm kind of babbling a little bit because I don't know that much about, for example, how things taste, all right? Because, it's kind of funny. I guess it tastes good, and it's kind of cool. There's some good things. Actually, I'm drinking some of the orange juice in here. There's no vodka in there, so I'm not having a screwdriver this morning. But, it's kind of funny. Brandon's laughing because most people sometimes think I'm drunk because I'm always high on life, all right? So he's laughing back there. It's kind of funny. So let's have a little fun today. But really the seriousness is this. See, the one thing that I want to do is this. Our wonderful writer, Dawn, I have to give her massive credit. She's a brilliant writer. She's a brilliant writer. I basically walk into her and talk about a couple things, and she puts together the most beautiful things. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is all of the articles and shows and everything we do are on our website. Just go to www.thewellnesswayclinics.com and go to the articles that way. We just put up an article yesterday, Start Somewhere, Cleaner Drinking and Organic Liquors, okay? Once again, why? Because I guarantee I'm going to get some hate mail from this video. I'm going to get some hate mail because people say, Doc, you just teach people not to do alcohol. Yeah, guess what, okay? I don't really believe that personally. As I said, I'm telling you my personal belief. I don't believe that people shouldn't have alcohol. Now, once again, I know alcohol has destroyed some people's lives, but that's a personal issue. That's not an alcohol issue. The alcohol doesn't jump in your mouth, okay? That's their personal obsessive issue. It's why, once again, like I said, I don't do it because I'd probably do it all the time, okay? It's just my personal issue that way, okay? But the idea is this, the majority of people do like to have a drink that way. So let's give you the best products. Let's give you the reasoning why I'd want you to choose a certain thing, okay? That's what about our show today is. So if you're believing in alcohol or not, if you hate it or don't like it, I have to tell you something that's kind of funny though. Because I hear some stupid stuff out there, and people know I'm strong in my faith, but I think some of the stupidest things I hear Christian people say sometimes is Jesus didn't really turn into wine, it was this, this, and this. I hear that stupid stuff. It's like, or don't get drunkard, he really did grape juice. Okay, well, you can make wine out of grape juice there, guys. So, but we have these fallacies and stuff like that. We have these freaked out people just, so everybody on this one, relax. Let's have some fun today because I know a lot of you guys, for example, like to have a drink. Well, let's see if I can guide you and give you some influence to make the best choices so it actually can be a health benefit and not some toxic thing that way. So where do we start? Okay, once again, let's start here. I actually, because I love kombuchas and I love fermentation, stuff like that, it's kind of funny because alcohol itself is a fermented product. See, so let's put a blanket on this, okay? When you look at alcohol itself, alcohol's been around. Let's go back into biblical times. Let's go back for thousands of years. Alcohol has been recorded because your healthiest foods became based on bacteria. Let me say it again. The healthiest foods on the planet have to do with bacteria, fermented foods. I love fermented foods, okay? That's the coolest part. I think sauerkraut and kimchi and all the things that, for example, that we can ferment, beets, love beets, okay? All these things, for example, give you massive health benefits. But when I ferment beets, or we have sauerkraut, or we have other fermented foods that way, even kombucha itself, once again, the massive health benefit is ridiculous. Well, what they did now through the fermentation process, once it's fermented now, it's kind of funny. They changed the name based on this because alcohol used to be called spirits back then, and thousands of years ago. But the reason why, when they started to understand the chemical composition of it, alcohol is actually really ethanol. Let me say it again. Alcohol really, when it's fermented, you take some form of sugar and you take a yeast. And what it does, it ferments it, and you obviously get ethanol and carbon dioxide. That's the fizzy part of it that way, okay? And then the gas is released. Well, the one thing about it is this. People are like, Doc, ethanol? I go to the gas station and it says this percent ethanol. Actually, yeah, it's kind of true. Okay, that's what it is. So really, if I said you're drinking ethanol, people would be like, whoa, hold the phone. Okay, that's why, for example, that large consumption that way, it can be toxic. But hold the phone for all you guys that are going to say, look, Dr. Flynn said toxic. Let me give you something really funny. Now, this is kind of not the best analogy, but let me give you this. If I, in general, tested a person and they're not allergic to broccoli, because there are people allergic to broccoli. I know. Trust me, I wish I was one of them, okay? Because broccoli is one of the healthiest foods on the planet, except for it doesn't taste the greatest, okay? But here's what happens. If I give you, if you're not allergic to broccoli, and all of a sudden, I give you a bowl of broccoli. In general, almost any person not allergic to broccoli is going to get some health benefit from it. Why? Because right doses, right amounts, great nutrients in there. But guess what? What if I give you 10 bowls of broccoli? And I force you to eat it, and you overconsume it, your body will reject it. See, anything like that in overconsumption, even a good product, your body will reject it because, once again, anything in large amounts, if you do too much calcium, it's toxic. If you do too much magnesium, it's toxic. It's why, you don't believe me, I have the greatest magnesium product on the planet called Relax. Take a teaspoon. Your bowels will do nice. take 10 teaspoons, you're going to poop your brains out. You're going to be pooping all day sitting on your rectum's going to hurt after a while because you're pooping so much. Because it became a toxic, okay? It became a toxin because of an overdose that way. So just understand, for example, when you look at alcohol that way, the ethanol for it can actually be toxic. Okay, if at high doses. It doesn't matter what product it is. So that's why people say, well, you can overdose. You can overdose on a lot of things, okay? Actually, you can overdose. Actually, it's kind of funny. Guys, this is not a joke. You can overdose on water. You can overdose on water and change the osmolality of your blood and make it so diluted that you can't exchange sodium, potassium, and it can be bad. Okay, so once again, everybody just relax on this topic because I know, man, when people found out I was doing it, people are like, you sure want to do it? You're going to get the pushback. Like, I care about pushback, okay? So, once again, ethanol converts, but then here's the cool part of it. Is actually, as the ethanol goes through the distillation process, the distilling process, this is the key. It's kind of like when they make essential oils. How you process it is very important. Now, this distillation process is kind of neat because what you do now, it's heated and each of the alcohols divide and boil off based on certain temperatures. And that's put through a cooling process and then it re-liquefies. Think about this. So it's basically like take a pot of water. So what you do is when you ferment, you get ethanol, you get water, and you get carbon dioxide. And then what they do is they boil it, and then all the alcohols start separating. Actually, it's kind of cool. When actually you start boiling it, you actually get methanol. Actually, that's how you get moonshine. Okay, that's why it's illegal because the concentration is so high, but it's all through the distillation process. That's why if you look, I kind of took like an old time distillation process. This is a big distillation factory. Of course, you see them all the breweries that way. You can actually go to a local breweries. That's why local breweries have become very popular because once again, it's the quality people make. Because it's really funny if you think about this in food in general. All products started off good. They really did. It's just that when money and mass production becomes the major factor instead of quality. Now, Durham, you're going to see I'm going to give you some brands that actually keep their great quality, but with quality comes price. Let me say it again. With quality comes price. Because here, you can run and make the distillation process very extensive, but also if you do it multiple times, the purer your product. Okay? But if you do it multiple times, you need more time, labor, and effort to do it. So of course the quality goes up, but also so does the cost. So just remember that. That's why when people say, Doc, I don't want to pay. And that's why I kind of giggle when all you guys are like, we've so moved away from quality of food compared to speed and cost. Remember, people always say this, Doc, why is organic so expensive? Wrong question. The Wellness Way teaches you to think and ask different questions. The question is, why is that food so darn cheap? Do you understand? Once again, it's a different perspective, okay? You may think you're saving money, but when it makes you extremely sick, guess what happens? You're going to pay for it in the long run that way. So even though, once again, some of the alcohols I'm going to show you today are more expensive, but guess why? Because the distillation process is done, okay? I'm just going to jump ahead a little bit, but Tito's vodka. The reason why I have Tito's, now Tito's isn't an organic brand, but it's very common to go out anywhere and have it. It's distilled 6 times. Now compared to a cheap rail vodka, guess what happens? It's half the cost. But once again, you get what you pay for, and there can be a lot of gluten, there can be a lot of toxicity in there. At least when Tito's did it, at least they did it 6 times, and then therefore, guess what? You're going to have a much purer product, you have a much more reliable product that way. You can actually control the concentrations, you kind of know what you're getting that way. But once again, the costs go up that way. So this is very important. That's why if you notice, some of your greatest alcohols out there list how many times they distill it, list their distillation process, and are very, very, very public about how they process their stuff. Let me give you an example. Like I just shot a video yesterday on strawberries. Once again, I love strawberries, but strawberries are very toxic food if they're not organic. I'm going to have the guy, our farmer, on in just a quick video probably next week or a week after. And if you just listen to him, you sit down and listen to him, and how he talks about strawberry and how he takes care of them, you kind of are excited about how he takes care of them. Why? Because he has such a love and passion about what he does. You actually meet a real brewer that knows how to brew their own beer or alcohol that way. It's a love. It's a labor of love. See, most of our big companies don't have labors of love anymore. Okay, it's kind of neat. There's actually a brewer over in Germany who actually is known for his beer all across the world. People go to his distillation, his brewery and everything, and they learn from it this way. And I was actually watching some of his videos last night and I don't drink beer, okay? I think, I've had sips of beer. I've tried it before and some of that. But it's like, man, I think it tastes like crap, honestly, And then people actually do it, but I actually just wanted to taste his beer, even though I don't drink, because the love that he had for brewing. It was intoxicating, no pun intended. His love for it was intoxicating because he just was so passionate about it. I'm like, damn, I want to try one of his beers, and I don't even think beer would. I'd probably be like, okay, tastes like crap, but I just love your passion. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's the cool part. So when you read about your alcohols, take some time. So I was just reading about Tito's, and the cool thing is you can call them. I called them and said, can you explain it to me? They're like, yes. See, there's no hidden agenda that way. And it was really a great experience talking to them that way, okay? So the distillation process is key that way, and the more distilled it is, the better it is when it comes to those harder alcohols that way. In my personal opinion, once again, I always tell you it's my opinion compared to, basic facts that way. I believe, for example, that you have more chance of having toxic when it comes to beers than you ever do with hard alcohol. That's why, if you notice, I'm kind of start with the harder alcohols because it's easier to actually process them better and easier to keep them more pure than it is to beers because you do have some, rye and barley and stuff like that way. So you got to be a little careful with those things, okay? Not that they can't be done right. It's just that you have more chance of having some gluten and things in there. So I tell people, when you first start drinking, move to some harder alcohol that way. And people are shocked when I say that compared to like a beer because they have more chance of actually having the negative stuff in there, okay? So the distillation process is really quite cool. So let's go back to this when you look at some of the organics. Now, I just put a product up there. I actually put this product up there because I listed it in one of my favorites that way. And once again, I've never had it before. I've never drank this, but Schramm's Organic Vodka. The reason why I put it on there too, because my mom's maiden name is Schramm. It's actually a Canadian-based company. It's actually very good. They're very pure in what they do, and it's kind of neat because these things can be used. But if you look at, for example, why organic and vegan, okay, are very important, especially with wines, okay. Wines, what they'll do, and they'll actually use some, not a joke, look it up. They'll use fish bladders. Yes, let me say again, fish bladders, milk, lactose, things like that, for smooth and texture on there. Okay, I know they use it because you hear it all the time. You watch even alcohol company advertise for it. The smoothness. Yeah, you're right. If something is just a not thicker thing that way, the smoothness and texture, for example, is very important alcohols. So they add things in like milk and lactose and fish bladders and other ingredients that are not vegan that way. Now, once again, there's great websites out there that you can actually find that's virtually vegan. Everything, for example, that we did here is vegan. Now, the great thing is, the more that you move towards organics, the more you get away from that stuff that way. Okay, think about that. That's very important. That's why I tell people there's certain regulations that still exist that make these products actually more attainable and make these things more pure. Okay, so the organic symbol does mean something. Obviously, I know you can get around certain things that way, but when you research them, that's why I tell people take the time to call them. I've called these companies. Once again, that's something you can do. Another thing when it comes to wines, I hear the stupidity in how they defend themselves in this. Remember, the reason why I love also to see organic wines done that way are just pure the sulfates, okay? Sulfates. Sulfates are used to do one thing, interrupt the normal process. Let me say it again. If you didn't want to change the process of how nature works, you wouldn't use sulfates. Let me say that again. If you wouldn't want to change the way nature works, you wouldn't use sulfates. The only purpose of using sulfates is preservation. Preservation for why? Because a wine will continue to ferment in a different direction and actually turn to vinegar. Do you understand that actually it's kind of funny? The Latin word for vinegar stands for old wine. All right? See, when there's a certain yeast to ferment a wine, what it does, you have a sugar, you have the yeast, it starts to ferment it, you get your products that way, so you can take a grape, you know what I'm saying, and the bacteria will ferment it that way. And then once again, once that fermentation process is done, what'll happen is there is a different bacteria, acetobacteria, okay? It's actually called acetobacter, if you want to look it up, A-C-E-T-O, bacter, B-A-C-T-E-R. Who cares? You don't know the name, but I'm going to give you your research. By nature, it is very common yeast. And what it does, it actually converts that wine into acetic acid, AKA vinegar. If you look at the major health benefits of apple cider vinegar, it's why apple ales and everything have become very popular in the alcohol realm that way, is there is a massive benefit internally for acetic acid. But acetic acid has a very pungent, a very strong, sour taste. That's why vinegar gives you that, wrinkled nose kind of look that way. Something that's very good. So then the purpose of sulfates is to inhibit that bacteria. Think about it this way. It's to inhibit that bacteria and that next fermentation process that way. That's the only purpose for doing it. See, a real true wine connoisseur will actually do what? They will take care of their wine so it doesn't actually ferment the next process. You don't need sulfates. You don't. It's just that if this wine is not taken care of, if it's not extracted with air, and if it's not properly laid on side, people realize, do you know that, for example, if you actually have a cork bottle, you have to actually have a bottle laying on side. Do you know why? Because the cork will get fluid and expand and keep air from coming in. But then you have to actually do what? You have to draw the air out. Because if you don't draw the air out, guess what comes in? Your acetobacter. And therefore it will continue to ferment, and you'll end up, if you leave that sit for over 6 months, it'll actually start to do what? Turn to vinegar. So if you don't drink a wine, a good wine, and within 6 months, guess what happens? It'll turn to vinegar. Now, you say, Doc, then how do they age good wines? They're preserved properly, which costs more money. You understand? Or if you bought the bottle to preserve it, you have to do your own maintenance. But people don't want to do that. So what do? They added sulfates in there, sulfur dioxide. Sulfur dioxide can be extremely toxic. There's people that have major sulfur dioxide issues. That's why they'll get massive headaches after it with sulfur. So I've had people come and say, Doc, I must be allergic to yeast because what happens is I get a very bad headache after I drink wine. I'm like, that's not true. Go to Woodman's or any other grocery store and stuff like that and get some organic wine. And they do, and they're like, I don't get a headache after. You can't handle the toxin. Now, a lot of people don't get headaches and other symptoms after, but that sulfur dioxide doesn't belong in our body that way. Now, here's the funny part is naturally occurring sulfur is different than chemically made sulfur. Okay, remember that. Because if people say, well, Doc, there's sulfur in this. Whoa, 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 whoa. Totally different chemistry that way. You're taking and extracting, producing a chemical, put it in there. But the whole purpose is what it does, it inhibits nature. Think about this. It inhibits nature. That's not meant to be that way. If you want to do and get a good wine, either consume it in that 6-month period or learn to take care of it that way. Because why? If you just take a bottle of wine, literally, if you take this wine and you open it up and you put it just in your cupboard, sitting like this, a year later you go drink it that way, you're going to have vinegar. Okay? Now, you're going to have an extremely healthy thing for you. It's just you're going to take a sip and be like, holy man, what the heck's going on here? Okay? Now, Brandon, we probably have a bunch of people on. I have not, what's that? I have not, here we go. Let me see who's jumping on here. Say hello to everybody. Now let's see, make sure my volume isn't too, there we go. Oh. I don't have any questions, but. That means, if I don't have any questions, that means I must be hitting in great detail, okay? Well, I think the questions are going to come when I possibly.
It was an allergy to yeast, anything that can be that you can drink with an allergy to yeast?
Sure. Actually, you could drink, you can't, with allergy to yeast, you can drink most alcohol because of the distillation process. See, when you actually go through the distillation process, remember, it's evaporated and then it's turned back into liquid. The yeast does not come along in there, okay? Now, that's why the more it's distilled, the less yeast you have. You have something that's actually only distilled at a very short time. Guess what happens? You may get yeast in there and you might react to it that way. That's why it's very important to change that. So, okay. So actually, for some reason, I'm having a little technical difficulty and can't pop on and say hi to everybody. Wait, here we go, Brandon. I think I did it. Yeah, I just said it. Well, I'm not. All right. There we go. I think there we are. Oh my goodness, we're already 23 minutes into it. So next one. All right, here we go. Now, so let's do this. Let's go into number 3, brands. Now, let me say this. Let me say this very clear because you know I'm big on this, okay? I don't have any ties to these brands. People just being a doc, people will say, Doc, give me some guidance. What do I do? What brands do you like? Now, remember, I actually have never tasted any of these brands, okay? So even when I did taste some alcohol and stuff like that, I've never had these, so I apologize. I don't understand the flavor. I don't understand, because a lot of people go, because we'll have, my wife has some friends that like to come over and have a glass of wine. Now, my wife doesn't drink either, but the idea is this. And I wouldn't care if she did, okay? We just never chose to do it that way. But the idea is this, but she has some girlfriends that like to come over and they have a glass of wine, stuff like that, really cool, nothing wrong with it. And it's kind of funny because, you know, so if you look and say, Doc, that organic one tastes like hell. Understand, guys, I don't know, okay? So I can't, but what I'm talking about is the distillation process, the purity, the veganism, the organic base of it that way to get you a good product. So now that when you do have people over or you do go out somewhere to see if they actually have it that way, all right? So if you look, for example, they got like Schramm's organic vodka, they got Rain organic vodka, they got the Art of the Still, Ocean's vodka, not a joke. So Ross and I went and visited Dr. Katie some time ago that way, and we were actually in the hotel, and all of a sudden they had this huge display of Ocean's organic vodka. And so I researched it why I was actually at the, this wasn't a recent one, this was probably about a year ago that way, and they make it from the good organic sugar cane that way. So even the base of it that way, and it's kind of cool. So now obviously this is, they now ship it all over the world, but what happens is it's actually, and Ross had some, he said it was very good that way, but it's kind of cool because, no joke, we're in Hawaii. Ross had some little Ocean's vodka. Then he had something like I'll show you a mixer that way, had some juice with that way. He said it was absolutely amazing that way, but made from good organic sugar cane that way. Once again, it was even easier because you processed it with sugar cane that way. You got the fermentation, got great vodka, and here it was, all right? The purity was great. It's made, right on the islands that way, so once again, a great product. Wines. I have heard nothing but great thing about Dry Farms wines, okay? I've had patients get them because, once again, I looked them up. Called them, went through the stuff that way. They have some great wines that way. People say rave about that way. Fraser organic wine, once again, some great stuff. And you can buy a lot of these locally that way, all right? Some of them you have to order, there's no doubt. But if you're going to have stuff at your home, you guys are going to have a cookout and everything like that, go check them out, all right? Some decent products, a couple things that I actually like. So I took some pictures of there. Some decent ones. But once again, what am I looking for? I'm looking for that purity. I'm looking for that distillation process. I'm looking for multiple distillation. As I said, I covered Tito's before. Tito's has right on their bottle, they're very proud of it right here. It says, once again, I'm trying to see where, they're distilled, okay? Distilled 6 times, okay? Once again, they're very proud of that. But once again, is it going to cost a little bit more? Absolutely, because of how it's made that way. Now, a big thing is this. So now you see some of the brands that can be done and used, and actually you can get them anywhere that way. Heck, one thing I love about the internet, you can order them right from here, all right? You can get them, go on their websites that way. Once again, let me say it again, just to read this, I have no ties to them. Just because you jump on their website, they're not going to know I told you. I don't get a kickback for them that way. I'm just trying to be the best doctor to give you the guidance on what to do that way. Now, on the flip side, you say, Doc, well, I just can't drink straight vodka or straight gin. Now, it's kind of funny. Let me talk about this, too. I actually found out that most rums are actually made from sugarcane, okay? So I'm a fan of rum that way because some good organic sugarcane, guess what happens? You can actually get a good product that way. I know people say, Doc, do you mind if they make the alcohol out of corn or some of that? I really don't mind if it's decent corn because, once again, they're going to distill it, and it's going to lose a lot of its corn properties. Let me say again, they're going to distill it and lose a lot of its corn properties. That's why most alcohol you can almost make it from anything. And if the distillation process is really good, you don't have much remnants of its original form that way because the bacteria change it. And then when it's actually distilled, you lose those proteins that stay in there. It's just when they add different proteins like it's called fining, you know what I'm saying? That's where you can get some of the problems that way. So now, but there is one part that is one of the biggest things. The mixers. Because most people, I say, Doc, move to hard alcohol. I kid you not, I had a patient do this, okay? It's kind of funny because they said, Doc, I said, they were talking about alcohol. I said, okay, what I want you to do, you love vodka. Good, move towards the decent vodkas. Man, he actually was so proud of himself as a guy. He was so proud of himself because he changed, he got some good organic vodka, and then guess what he added in there? Soda. I was so proud of him because he was, once again, I'm not laughing at him, but I'm like, oh my goodness. I was like, because he was ecstatic because he was making changes. He was seeing health changes that way. And all of a sudden we were talking about that. He's like, yeah, man. He goes, I had some friends over that way, and they couldn't believe that my alcohol was organic and stuff like that. And it was kind of cool. So I had the alcohol. They brought the soda. I said, whoa, whoa, whoa. They brought the soda? Yeah, they brought some Coke and some 7-Up over. And I'm like, and I started laughing, and we laughed about it as a patient-doctor relationship that way. And it was kind of fun, but I'm like, okay, hold the phone. Okay, we got to get rid of that. He's like, okay, then what do I do? Well, once again, mixers are very important, okay? Now, I'm a fan of using organic juices. I am. Now, once again, here we go. I know people say, Doc, but the juices are high content of sugar. I understand, but you're going to have a drink. I'd rather have a high concentration of organic juice sugar than actually soda. Do you understand? So once again, as you see, I'm drinking some orange mango juice that Brandon bought at the grocery store 5 minutes before he showed up, okay? It's fantastic. You can get it, okay? Now, there is one juice you got to be very careful about, especially if you're out at a bar or a supper club or out somewhere to go have a social drink. It's actually cranberry juice. Now, if you see, I have some cranberry juice right here, okay? Cranberry juice, for example, is extremely tart, okay? So to really mix cranberry juice with even a cranberry vodka juice for cranberry vodka drink, it's very tough even if you make it at home because it's very tart. When people actually get processed cranberry juice, ocean sprays, the ones you get at the bar, it's basically high fructose corn syrup with color. It really is. So you got to be very careful, and some flavorings in there, some cranberry flavorings that way. So be very careful. Even if you go out, you go to a bar and you see Tito's there, and you're like, well, I'm going to go with cranberry because I don't really like the taste of orange. Be very careful because cranberry juice, non-organically, is probably one of the most toxic juices on the planet. It's almost just straight high fructose corn syrup. Okay, so be careful that way. So that's why one caution I want to give you on there. But Zevia sodas. Zevia sodas, for example, have become very popular because they're actually made with some cane sugar and some stevia that way. Wonderful things you can get almost every grocery store. Coconut waters, no joke. Noma actually came out with amazing coconut waters. Actually, this is not to do with alcohol, but my daughters actually put these electrolyte drinks in their golf bags, like Faith just played in a golf tournament, and guess what? She put them in her bag. It's drink them. It replaces the aspect of Gatorade and stuff like that. But those actually have great flavors. Here's a watermelon one. Here's a mango one that way. And you can put actually different coconut waters. Even coconut water itself has a good flavor that you can mix with certain alcohols that way. Okay, kombuchas. Actually, I can honestly tell you, I think Ross was the first one to ever go, hey, you can make this thing with kombucha and stuff like that. It was kind of cool. Kombuchas actually do a wonderful job of throwing some alcohol in it. Actually, people you can buy kombucha anywhere that way. You can even flavor your kombuchas that way and put alcohol accordingly that way. Ginger beer. Actually, it's not a joke. It tastes kind of cool. You can actually buy it. It's gluten-free. It's preservative-free. It's caffeine-free that way. Rockies actually has a pretty good brand here of actually a ginger beer, and you're making, was it Moscow's or
Moscow Mules.
Moscow Mules? I don't know what the heck it are. I mean, that's a Moscow Mule.
It's the popular drink here.
It's a popular drink. Okay. I don't even know what it is, but what do they use? They use ginger beer.
I don't know what they use.
Ginger beer, vodka, lime juice. Okay. Once again, I'm trying to bring you the stuff so you can have some good ingredients that way. So a Moscow Mule. Why do they call it Moscow Mule? Does anybody know where they got the name from? What's that? Is it some donkey from Russia? Okay, the Russian donkey drink. Okay, I don't know. Guys, I'm just trying to give you the ingredients. I have clueless when it comes to some of this stuff that way. It's like mojitos or something like that. What's a mojito or something? I don't know. You know, rum? Okay, rum, okay. We have some, alcohol people here, some of that. We have some lushes here. No. And once again, I have no problem with libations, okay? Nothing. I have no problem with them that way and stuff, so just remember that, all right? Herbs, here, this is a big thing. You can really spice. You want to talk about this. I've heard from people that really understand alcohol well, you start throwing some basil, some lavender, some mint in the drinks that way. And we're talking the leaves. I guess it's, I like basil and lemonade because we'll make our own lemonade and throw basil in there. It gives a very strong taste that way. Remember, herbs, for example, remember, the old saying I do love about this. Nothing wrong with this, but people use this term all the time. Food is thy medicine. Yes, I don't disagree. But that wasn't the full quote. And so it's really let food be thy medicine, but let medicine be thy food. People stopped eating medicinal things. We've stopped eating those massive herbs that way. You look at mint and all things like that, and basil. And actually, you can get into even like ashwagandha and things like that actually have very good flavor. Licorice root, which actually is an herb that way, you can put in these things to actually give them great flavor. See, you can turn anything into a very healthy, good product that way by adding certain things in and giving flavors that way. But most people don't want to do that. They just want to, buy something out of a tap that way. Okay. Once again. Actually, it's not a joke. Seltzer waters. You can get decent seltzer waters, once again, that actually do a wonderful job. And you got to be careful, okay? Because, seltzer waters, not just sparkling water, okay? Sparkling water, for example, you want seltzer water because, once again, there's no added sugars or preservatives in there. You got to be careful, once again. Watch for sparkling water. Sparkling waters can actually have some toxic things in there. So I always tell people, with just sparkling water that way, because you want to be very careful with what you're adding in as far as some carbonation and stuff like that. But once again, I'm trying to give you the overall references that way that you can do this way. Okay, so these are great things that you can add in. Okay, those are mixers. So if you recap that way, really understand the distillation process, or how it's distilled through the process, and then actually make sure that the more it's distilled, the better it is. Obviously, the more expensive. Once again, the organic symbol, make sure it's vegan that way. You don't want any fish bladders or milk or lactose sugars put in there that way. You want to make sure the sulfates are out of there. You look at some of the brands there. Go to our article. I want to jump back here. Once again, we have these things listed as far as this in our article. Once again, thank you, Dawn, for an amazing article written that way. I literally walked in, talked to her for 5 minutes, and she came up with just a beautiful article. And but that's one thing. Guys, remember this. Start somewhere. You know what I'm saying? I just, as a doc, and all of our doctors across the country, just want you to make good steps. That's it. That's it. That's our whole purpose, is to give you great guidance so you can live a long, healthy, and enjoyable life. You got to enjoy the process. I actually have a motto. It's called enjoy the journey and build memories. I can tell people, if this wasn't fun, I would quit. Do you say it? I want people to enjoy the process that way. So when people are saying, don't drink any alcohol, I don't agree with that. And once again, let me make it very clear. If you had a family member that destroyed themselves with alcoholism and stuff like that, I understand. It's personal addictions can be very bad. Let me say it. I feel for you. I'm not an alcohol drinker because I'd probably drink all the time. I understand that. I'm obsessive compulsive too. Okay. People that know me, my nephew, I say he knows I'm obsessive compulsive. My wife does. So that's why I'm really good at what I do, because I only do a couple things. Well, I don't drink and do 3 things. I'd be good at it probably, okay? So I understand that things can destroy people's lives. So I'm not telling you that there isn't any risk with it that way. There's always risk with it that way. But once again, there are some major health benefits and nutrients that you can get from alcohol that, once again, are very good for you. So do it appropriately. Do the things right that way. Look at the right ingredients that way. That's what the Wellness Way stands for, to guide you. I believe that we are the best guiding organization on the planet, okay? I know some purists will never want people to touch alcohol. I also know that, for example, then they shouldn't walk outside because we're going to get toxins if you walk in the air. You understand? So the idea is this. So I'm trying to give you the best guidance that way, and that's what the Wellness Way does. That's what all of our doctors are so passionate about doing, is giving you guidance to live a better life. So that's my view on alcohol. Like I said, I tried to throw a little twist in there. I knew it was going to be a little longer. Quick tip. I don't know why we call them quick tip. What's that?
42 minutes.
42-minute quick tip, okay? Well, for people that know that I speak a lot, I could go on for hours and stuff like that. And I'm just trying to give you, and I believe I gave you the basics today that way. Do me a favor. Like, share, comment below. Do me a favor. Let's do this. Why don't you share because once again, as a community, as a culture that we're trying to build, why don't you share one of your favorite alcohols, so we can use this as something that we can actually give other people knowledge. If you have a very good alcohol, do me a favor. Post what it is and tell us why you liked it. Maybe because it has the best ingredients. Maybe because it has the best flavor and still has, but make sure it has good ingredients. Don't put a crappy junky alcohol in there and say, I like the flavor that way, because that's still a junky one. But if you have been on a health journey, you start to find an alcohol that you really like, because it's good. It could be that you like a Angry Orchard because it's clean this way and has this, and maybe you have this apple cider beer and stuff like that, or this ginger beer. Do you see what I'm saying? Share some of the things that you like in there. Take a picture like I do, put it up there. I would really like to hear, because I will actually, if you show me on there, I'll probably go research it so I can put it into our arsenal so people know that. That's why, once again, on our website, we want to be able to have things that you can go to, so it's actually your go-to website that way. So once again, go check out our website at thewellnesswayclinics.com and actually get all the information you need, these videos, these quick tips. You got stuff that comes from all of our doctors across the country, including Dr. Jason, Greg, Calvi, Ross, Dr. Jacques, Dr. Stacy. All these videos constantly go up on our YouTube channel also, but they both host on our Wellness Way page and our YouTube channel. So my name is Dr. Patrick Flynn, the Hormone Whisperer. Thank you for joining me on my 45-minute quick tip. Okay, you guys have a beautiful Saturday morning. I love and appreciate all you guys. Have a great day.